Welcome to another coach's meeting. That's the coach. I'm Grant Cohn. The Niners are playing the 7-seeded Seattle Seahawks, who they've beaten twice this year. And, we're going to talk about the weather and what the Niners got to do. But I think the number one thing on everyone's mind is, what if the Niners find a way to lose this freaking game? So let's start right there. Coach, what happens if the Niners somehow, some way, whether it's turnovers, an act of God, weather, or just a bad game, they lose? What is this offseason going to look like?
Well, the offseason is going to be rough in my opinion. Number one, everything that we've kind of had, like our little moral victories that we've had over the year, our third string quarterback starting, Mr. Irrelevant, our backup in Jimmy starting, our quarterback in Trey Lance and waiting that we got ready to play, our defense that went number one all year, our rookies on the offensive line who have done, just all of the superlatives.
The Pro Bowls, the Rookie of the Month, the Offensive Player of the Month.
Year.
So many flowers the Niners have gotten this year.
And them shits will wither if we lose week one.
If we lose those roses will stink all offseason if they lose.
And it sucks, but that's just the nature of the beast. You know, if we really want to be praised for things that are valid, then when we lose, all of those little things they dissolve. They're not invalidated, but they're afterthoughts.
And that's why this matchup's so interesting to me, because all the pressure's on the 49ers. All of it.
Yeah. The Seahawks are playing spoiler. As a matter of fact, they're happy to be here. As far as like preseason projections were concerned, they weren't even supposed to be this good. And they got a top 5 pick in their background, in their back pocket, and they're coming into San Fran with a coach that does well against us.
He's better than Matt LaFleur.
He's way better than Matt LaFleur. As a matter of fact, I really wanted to see Green Bay. You talked about that last time we talked. In some ways, I wanted to see Green Bay. I don't think.
And they proved why. They proved why on Sunday Night Football.
They showed exactly why I wanted to see them.
Yeah, just soft in every way.
Definitely soft, and they're just not a team. They're not put together, especially Aaron Rodgers.
Seattle's a team, not a great team, but a team that actually is better than they should be.
You know what else about Seattle is they have a lot of culture too. Even as bad as they are, they're not.
Losing Russell Wilson helped.
It helped a lot.
Yeah,
it helped a lot, and his play is showing. So if we lose, the offseason is going to have a lot of question marks. We obviously have an open quarterback competition. And I think that it's going to be a lot of questions on who leaves. I mean, does Trent start thinking about kicking the tires on how much tread he has left on the tires? You know, he's an older vet.
I think it gets weirder. I think it gets weirder than that. If they lose first round, all of a sudden Jimmy Garoppolo creeps back in the conversation. Well, would Jimmy have lost this game? Jimmy would have won. Maybe they should bring back Jimmy. Maybe Brock or Trey isn't. I'm telling you, man, it gets weird. Jimmy creeps back in the conversation if they lose this game. Also, Kyle, like the conversation around Kyle gets very negative again. He did it again. You can't trust him in the playoff, all that stuff.
I mean, ironically enough, we know who's going to be leading the charge on that on the YouTube airways. But
I don't expect him to lose. That's a parallel universe we're not going to experience. We're just talking about what would happen.
Round in the clip. I know you.
Dude, if they lose to the Seahawks, he would deserve it. He would deserve it. Yeah.
It's your job. I got it.
That being said, I wouldn't advocate for like firing the coach who's gonna. I mean, like if you want Brock or Trey to succeed, you probably want them to stick with the same coach. But yeah, Kyle would have to take a lot of criticism this offseason.
No. I think this season Kyle's unfireable.
Of course.
However this season plays out.
Yeah.
I think even questioning his job would be a little outrageous.
I agree.
At this point.
I agree. That being said, losing to the 7th seed would be so bad. And that's why they're not going to. There's too much at stake.
Losing to a team that we swept too.
Whew. It would be bad.
It would be very bad. And it just
the way
can't
you look
happen.
at Brock would be all different too. All of a sudden, it's like, was Brock just a mirage of the regular season? Is he the guy? You don't even know.
Well, that leads me to that kind of leads me to my next point, though. Grant is like, if we lose, this isn't going to be a Brock failure. This is going to be a coaching failure. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You lost to an inferior team. How? How?
There's no way we lose this game and we don't get out coached in some facet of the game. I'm sorry. And you know I'm a Kyle guy. But there's no way that we it's almost kind of like giving the child the keys to the car and driving down the highway. Like, there's no way that we let Brock lose this game for us.
No.
Even if he did, I would feel like it wasn't his fault. Like, he got set up. I just don't think that he deserves any type of pressure. Not now, and not with this opponent. Like, it's coming though, because it's the playoffs. But if we could control it, it's going to be a raining game. Just run the ball.
Yeah, this is the two things that concern me about this is the Raider game from a week and a half ago. I still don't understand what happened, and the Seahawks are better than the Raiders. And the rain. Like, I'm looking right now. I don't think it's supposed to be raining during the game, although I'm not sure. But, I mean, remember what the rain did to the Niners in Washington a few years ago? It was 9-0. You couldn't throw the ball. If it rains too hard, you can't throw the ball at all. So I don't know if it's just going to be like a wet field or like straight up pouring, but that's an equalizer. They lost to Chicago because of that.
Yeah, that's true. But they also Chicago, they couldn't throw the ball either. It kind of and to be honest with you, that rain came on late in that Chicago game. It came on really late, and that was the first game of the season. We were disjointed, and there was George didn't play that game. That game was kind of weird. We got a couple of weird ones peppered throughout our season. I feel like the Las Vegas game, I mean, we can go further back. We can go to the Tampa game, the Las Vegas game, and the Washington game. Yeah. I feel like we're watching a little bit of attrition.
Even Miami. There were guys open. Yeah.
I think that this is a good problem to have, and I know this sounds bad, but I don't think that we need the number one defense in the league anymore to win a Super Bowl.
Let's talk about that right now.
Okay.
Why?
Well, I got a juicy little gotcha stat for you. What we out of all of the defensive statistics that absolutely matter over time within the last 54 Super Bowls, the number one defensive stat is scoring defense.
Okay, of course. That makes sense to me. That makes sense to me.
Exactly. Yeah. And out of the last 20 Super Bowl winners, only 5 of them have been number one defenses.
Interesting.
But out of the last 54 Super Bowl winners, 47 winners have had top 10 defenses.
Okay. So it's mandatory. You got to have a good defense.
You got to have a defense, but I think that we get I think because our defense has been so elite and optically we've been elite. I mean, let's be honest. We've been whooping ass. I think when we don't see the routine 3 and outs and we start to see the weakness of because our defense is not infallible, our secondary has issues. We just need to get over that. That's what it is. Yeah. When we see those things, we start seeing that 1 dip to 2 and that 2 dip to 3 hypothetically in our minds. You know what I'm saying? And and really it's kind of like we need to relax and understand that playoff football is complementary football, and that's our identity. That's what we do. Playoff football isn't one side of the team is going to carry you, because that's what teams point out in the playoffs.
Yeah, the most balanced team wins.
The most balanced team wins. And that's another thing about that we've been crowing about near the end of the season is that we're an offensive team. I think that the offense has been late to the party.
Yes.
And we're starting to feel like we're an offensive team. And because the defense is kind of regressing to the mean, they're not as elite. Yeah. We're thinking that the offense is the leader of the team. But really, I think that we're about to see how a balanced team operates on a high level. Yeah. Right? And I think that's what we're shooting for.
I just have concerns about the defense because of that one, not just that one game, but Miami. Tua just couldn't hit the throws. He didn't have the offensive line. But if you can do what they were open. If you can do what Kansas City, if you have the combination of a good offensive line and a good quarterback who can throw the ball down the field, how many times did the Niners face that this year? Not that many. Right. So I'm a little concerned about that. That's the only thing.
Yeah, I'm concerned too. I agree with you.
I've been comparing it to 2012 Niners. They had a great defense, but at the end, it was kind of falling apart. And in that Super Bowl, Chris Culliver got roasted. And it feels like Lenore's kind of in that position right now. Hey, good coverage. You're right there.
Doesn't he feel like he's Ambry all over again? He's in the spot. He's there. Demo is – I'm not giving up on Demo, man, because he's there.
Yeah.
The technique is there. He's just not playing the ball right.
Calm down and play the ball.
Yes. He's
Don't
not
panic.
finishing. But he's not getting beat. He's not getting absolutely embarrassed. You know what I'm saying? So I'm hanging in there with Demo.
Hey, he's the best option.
You know what's kind of funny about our offense and our defense that's kind of switched is the problem with our offense with Jimmy and Trey in some aspects, because we wanted Trey to do this, but he wasn't there yet, is off-schedule playmaking, off-schedule stuff. What can we do once Kyle gives us something that does not work, right?
Because Kyle's good 75-80% of the time, but what about the rest? Yeah, exactly. Same with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. You need that.
He gives you that. But now, if you're starting to look at our defense, what are some of the things that are hurting our defense? Plaster coverage, quarterbacks breaking out of the pocket, off-schedule plays. So one of the things is that I would like to see our defense play a little bit more consistently when their rules are challenged.
Thank you.
Right? Where you don't get the defense basically running into the mechanism of the defense, or you don't have to rely on DeMeco Ryans to call the right play. Right. I kind of want to see them working through things on their own. And I feel like that is the next level for this defense. And we may not get there. We only got 4 games, right? Right. Sometimes we may get there before we get to fix it. That's a good problem to have. But
they got to fix this before the Super Bowl, because Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, I mean, they're gonna attack the Niners in this way. So fix it now.
Well, I agree, and even more lanes. CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown.
I like what you said about plaster coverage too, like Hufanga. Yo, when the quarterback breaks the pocket, don't just chase the quarterback, especially if you're across the field, because that's how you gave up the touchdown to Dante Pettis week 1. Like, find someone to cover, unless you're the closest guy to the quarterback, I would say.
I mean, if you're guarding grass, you're wrong. If you alone, you're wrong. So I do see it when we play. And, of course, I don't have all 22, so I'm watching this on broadcast. But when I do see on broadcast, he does look a little out of sorts. I'm being respectful, but he does look out of sorts.
I thought he looked better this week. I mean, DeMeco called him out. DeMeco called him out, and all of a sudden, boom. So I think he was just
this week was much better, but I do kind of feel like they got a little bit of they're getting a little cocky. They needed to be humbled on defense.
That is true. And you know what? That happened against the Raiders, and they still won the game. So best of both worlds.
Because of that offense.
Yeah, that's true. I got a question for you. Jay Will has a question for you. Does the bad weather help the defensive line or the offensive line in the trenches? Particularly a wet field, wet grass.
O-line.
It's tough to put moves
we're doing
together,
the pushing.
Right?
I mean, D-line, I'm an O-lineman at heart, but D-linemen are the most athletic linemen on the field. I got to give it to them.
Right.
But at the same time, offensive line, we don't fight fair. We getting you up out the club. You got to go. Yeah, and we mudding. So, do all of them. You can do all them pass moves if you want to. I'm taking you for a ride.
So, in that sense, that's one positive for Seattle, because they haven't been able to slow down the Niners' pass rush in 2 attempts.
But what does their run game look like?
We're going to talk about that. Adam says, going back to college, Brock is good at throwing in the rain. Plus, his ball is easier to catch in the rain versus Trey's rocket arm. That's a fair point. That's a good point.
That is a fair point.
Yep.
Brock has a lot of ball in him.
Yeah, and he played outdoors, unlike Trey.
Yeah.
Zach says Def got complacent, but will change in playoffs. I think so too. I think so
too. Yeah. This is a mature team.
What are the playoff performance keys for Brock Purdy? Young Brock.
All right.
Brock.
It's a whole different ball game. I know I say this every time, but it's hard to do, but you have to throw out Arizona. This is the playoffs. If vets are getting geared up for the playoffs, just imagine what this rookie is trying to do to get ready for the playoffs, right? I think that this game is going to be, hopefully, I want it to be Green Bay 2019. 8 throws, and we just pound him into submission, and Brock is just there along for the ride.
Mm-hmm.
As far as keys are concerned, I do feel like Brock is going to have to make a couple of throws in this game. Mm-hmm. He's going to have to make about 2 or 3 throws in critical moments to be able to keep drives alive. I think that because of this type of team, one thing about Seattle that I am worried about is not necessarily winning, but getting out unscathed. This is a team that really wants to mix it up with us.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
don't want to
Even if you win the game, what at what cost?
and
Yeah.
what exactly? And I think that, and I don't even like mentioning this because that would mean the end of our season, in my opinion. But one of the biggest things for Brock is to stay healthy.
Yep.
He cannot get hurt. He has to. I mean, one of the things that I've noticed
That's
about
true.
Brock, if we're gonna talk about bad things, is the reversing out in the
Ooh.
middle of the pocket
Ooh.
of
It's
pocket.
a bad habit, and it's gonna get him in
Yes,
trouble eventually.
yes.
It's a college. It's a college tendency. You can do it in
And
college.
and it's how Jimmy got hurt. He didn't give up the ball.
Hold on. Hold on. My dad's calling me real quick. Let me make
Okay.
sure it's not an emergency real quick. Hold on.
Okay.
The floor is yours.
Oh, okay. So Grant's talking to his father right now. He's probably calling him Iggy.
Just making sure it's not an emergency. He's called me twice. Let me see what's up.
You good?
Not answering.
He's giving you one of these.
Yeah, like if he calls
He's
me back,
looking
I'll
like
answer.
10 feet away.
I just texted him. I think we're okay. All right. So what were we? Sorry about that. What were we in the middle of talking about?
I think I was talking about the couple of throws that Brock has to make, and he
Yep.
has to stay healthy.
Has to stay healthy and
also-
backing out of the pocket.
Backing
That's
out
dangerous.
of the pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very dangerous. It's how Jimmy got hurt. He
And
didn't
people
give up
have
the
seen
ball.
that that's his tendency. He wants to roll left out of the pocket, man. You be careful.
Yeah, and
They know.
He's very athletic. I mean,
Yeah.
anytime NFL DBs are barreling down on you and you're still making a little bit of separation, he's got enough juice in him. But we don't want to make that a habit. And I really feel like the number one thing that if I was Pete, and I think that he would do, is they're not going to be dictated to. And that's the thing about Brock, is that he's very on schedule. He's always seems to be calm. That's the biggest thing we talk about is his poise.
Mhm.
And there are going to be teams that are going to see him be off schedule. They're going to want to see him move in the pocket. For as great as our offensive line is doing, I feel like our O-line has been doing good by committee. Individually, you can pick us apart.
That's
and
true.
you can get the Brock.
Yeah.
I'm not here to call out players, but we know who the gaps are.
Yeah,
And
for sure. Everyone
with
except Trent
that-
Williams. No offense. It's just what it
Yes.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And
Together, they're better, but yeah.
yeah, and if you noticed, even in all of the games that we've won, there are those phantom breakdowns where Brock just gets dead to rights because of protection, and he has to just
broken
take a
plays.
sack.
Straight up broken play. A lot in the
Straight
second
up.
quarter of this last game. Yep.
Yeah, just flat out broken plays,
Yeah.
where we just got, and there was no resistance. So I really am looking for Brock to stay on schedule. I want Brock to stay healthy, and I wouldn't even say protect the ball. That's a given with any quarterback, and him being a rookie. One thing about Brock is that all of his turnovers, in my opinion, have made sense.
Yeah.
I haven't seen I've seen picks that were bad that were dropped,
Yeah.
but I
Yes,
haven't
yes.
seen
Yes.
right. I haven't
Quandre
seen
Diggs Yeah.
that was a very bad
That was bad.
pick.
That was bad.
Yeah, I haven't seen a pick that he's thrown where I didn't understand what he was doing.
Right.
So for Brock, I kind of feel like he just needs to stay on schedule.
Keep doing what you're doing.
And as a caveat, no more QB sneaks.
Please. It's not working with him. It's not working with him.
It's just not.
You got
his
the best
body
fullback
type.
in the league. Use him. I think it's key with him. Just don't do too much. Like, don't all of a sudden get in the playoffs. Like, I got to do more. What you're doing right now is plenty. Manage the freaking game. Don't turn the ball over. You'll win.
Not only that though, Grant, but I keep receipts, especially when the players talk. And for 5 games, we have been talking about Brock is just doing good when you have all these players around you, when you have all of these veterans. This is the game where you prove that Brock has to just come in and not do too much.
Right.
This is that game.
Prove
right?
it.
Like all of the regular season games were cool, and they all had their consequences and things that came after them. I get that, but if there's ever going to be a game where you want your rookie QB to ease into his first playoff experience, this is the game. That's why losing this game would speak to so many different things, not just a L.
That's true. It really would. Brock Purdy season says, sorry if this is late. I am late for the show. Weather isn't going to be that bad during the game from the forecast. That's what we're hearing. It's going to be more of like a wet field, not a wet game. And we're going to talk about how that's going to impact things. But first, I want to ask you which units need to perform in the playoffs on offense and defense for the 49ers. Which ones need to perform at their best?
Okay. Well, I would say on offense, the offensive line.
Yeah.
We go as far as this offensive line goes. The trenches is where it all starts on both sides of the ball. And right now, we're on the mend. I think that we really saw a difference. And I thought that who would have thought that we would ever be saying this? But there was a clear difference without Aaron Banks in the offensive line.
Oh, no doubt. All of a sudden, they couldn't pick up a stunt. That twist got him.
Yeah. And there wasn't a lot of gap scheme running either.
Good point. That's because he's their puller, right?
Yeah. So I think that there was I think I saw a tweet where somebody had mentioned with Aaron Banks being out and shifting over Danny Brunskill, we had to play Spencer at full time, Spencer full time at right guard,
which isn't something he always does.
And he struggled.
Yeah.
He did. And
he's probably the weakest.
Spencer.
He's probably the weakest offensive lineman on the team right now. He's a rookie.
Well, he is a rookie, and he was a tackle too.
Right.
So
he's got a bright future, but right now, I mean, he's probably the one.
Yeah. You know, they're kicking him inside. He's having a great year.
It's hard to hold your own as an offensive lineman as a rookie.
As a rookie, man, and he's not even like a pedigree guy from like this great school. Played the position for years.
He's 20. I think he's 21. I think he's like
the youngest dude on the
team.
I give him so much leeway because he's got so much dog in him.
I mean, he's ahead of where Aaron Banks was at this point.
Right? Come on.
So
that's why
he gets credit. Yeah, he gets credit.
Yeah, right. But styles make fights, baby. And you want to be on a good team, then you're gonna be scrutinized like a good player. And he struggled. And I think that offensively, that's really the only way that you can't bump and run us because of what we do offensively. We shift more than any offense in the
right. So it's really hard to
you can't bump us. You can try to load the box, but the only way you load in the box is if the O-line ain't clicking. And if the O-line can hold play action, and I hate to be so simplistic about it, but you really can't beat us offensively. With Brock delivering the ball. Offensively, it is our offensive line. Because I wanted to say, if you think about it, we've had success sans big players in every unit on the offense. We're playing with our third string quarterback, right? We've had extended time without Mosley. Debo. On offense. Without Debo and George Kittle, and still managed. We actually did a little better without Debo, honestly.
Trent Williams missed a few games. Elijah Mitchell's been in and out all year. Yep. I mean, we've never missed a beat, but when we miss people on that offensive line, there is a serious drop off. One of the best things that the offensive line has going for them this year is that they were playing the same five or the same combination the whole time. They had continuity. So even if they weren't the greatest group, they were playing together. Now that's for the first time is getting changed.
Yeah, well, I look at offensive line. Offensive line is like making a bowl of chili. It's like making chili. There's no recipe. You tinker as you go along, right? You put a dash here, you put a dash there. It's a little too spicy. You put something in here. So offensive line isn't like most units where every set guy has a function. Sometimes a guy that doesn't make sense, but he makes sense collectively works. Yeah. Right. So my thing is that I really like what Coach Forrester did in finding a rhythm. At first, I didn't get it. I didn't understand why they were switching out Danny and Spencer at right guard, but it's worked, and that's been disrupted. And you can see the fallout from that. So I'm just looking for them to get back on track. That's why I feel offense. Our linebacking core.
Okay.
I feel the same way. We have first of all, our defense isn't built for our secondary to be strong anyway. So let's get that out the way.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
this is just what they are. It's supposed to be a front seven dominant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you have to remember that when we don't
Yeah.
do good on secondary, okay? That's not what we do.
They're not going to all of a sudden step up and be elite. Like, that's just not,
We ain't that. All right.
No.
And what's emblematic of that is that we actually went out and paid for Travarius Ward to come over.
Great
right?
signing.
Exactly.
Great signing.
You have been mentioning something lately that is really good that I think the Niners should pick up. I think we should start spending money on secondary.
I think
We
it's
don't spend
smart.
money anywhere else.
Dude, it's cheaper. It's cheaper than all the other premium positions. Go for it. Yeah. Go for it. Cheaper than wide receiver, D tackle, offensive tackle, DA. I mean, seriously. Go.
Yes.
I mean, Philly spends on it, and it works for them. Bradbury, Slay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because that way, like, you're getting a good player. He's 25. He's in his prime.
He's a hired gun, but you know.
You've seen, like, the Niners signed Travarius Ward. They saw him play against A.J. Brown, DK. It's like, well, we saw him against Devontae Adams. We know exactly what it's going to look like. Yeah.
True.
Yep.
All right. So the reason why I picked the linebacking core out of all of them is, again, it's the same way I feel about the offense. We have done without players on every unit and managed to keep our level of requisite play, but the linebacking core.
Yeah.
When we lost DJ Greenlaw, there was a gigantic. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's all right.
I keep calling him DJ Greenlaw.
That's
I get DJ Jones on the mind, but when we lost Dre, in my opinion, optically, there was a huge drop off.
What did you see there? That's interesting.
Okay, well, the way it knocks down is that Aziz takes Dre's spot, and then Oren Burks comes in for practically Aziz's position.
Yeah.
And what Dre does is, number one, football is a cultural, it's almost kind of like a cerebral sport where if you can show force at a certain area of the field, some coordinators won't even try it anymore. They'll just leave it alone. And one of the things about Dre Greenlaw that I absolutely love is that for check downs, curl to flat, hook to curl, he is a menace.
He is.
He's a load. I'm talking
he'll
about
hit you fast and he'll hit you hard and you'll be like, I don't want to do that anymore.
Zero progress. You're not going anywhere.
No.
I feel like also with him is that he's very good in pass coverage. He cleans up a lot on the run game. In my opinion, and I know people, the only reason why I wouldn't say this definitively is because Dre needs consistency. Fred has consistency, but I see them pretty much in tandem in my eyes as far as athletes are concerned. But what you do see is that Oren Burks isn't that good of a finisher. He's not that good of a tackler. And he doesn't do well with checking down. Aziz, he's got one speed. You know, Aziz is going to shoot out of a cannon and he's going to go. But I think with Aziz that there needs to be a little bit more maturation in this game, toning down and actually being able to read things a little bit more. I think that without Dre, our linebacking core really takes a step down because of how good they are. Our secondary is what they are, but our linebacking core is what rewards our defense, right? Our defensive line. They reward our defense.
And the Niners had Dre Greenlaw at full strength the first two times they've played Seattle. If he's compromised or not out there, that changes things.
I mean, that turnover by Dre Greenlaw kind of like broke the game open.
Good point.
You know what I'm saying? That
a really hard hit.
Yeah, I mean, he's a bell cow.
How many times has he like almost single-handedly beaten Seattle? Twice? Not single-handedly, but he's like made the crucial play in Seattle.
19. That was for the NFC. That was for an NFC West championship. And then there was this game.
Yep.
For that, and then wasn't there a pick that he got when he was a rookie?
Absolutely. That was at Levi's.
Remember
that was 19. That was 19 also, and he was like over his shoulder. It was in overtime.
Yeah,
it was
I
great.
remember that.
Hell of a player.
Yeah,
man. We haven't thought about that. Like, why did the Niners defense fall apart against the Raiders? Well, Dre Greenlaw got hurt.
Yeah, it changed everything because
all of a sudden Stidham was like just rolling out and just hitting like tight ends in the flat for 20 yards. Like what?
Deep intermediate passes.
Yeah,
all of that. That's Dre. Dre is a buzzsaw. I'm telling you guys. Like, and I mean, I'm not saying that we don't value him because I know we do, but I think that Dre going down doesn't really make people's hearts skip a beat the way it should.
Yep.
Dre Greenlaw is a serious piece of this defense.
Yeah, go back and watch the Niners defense without him against the Raiders. Now, I know last week was a great performance. It was against the worst team in the league, starting David Blau. So I don't even think about that game. I'm still thinking about the Raiders and how the Niners can make sure that never, ever, ever, ever happens again.
Yeah.
David says, you think we'll be able to re-sign Aziz and E-Man? The Niners are pretty creative with that. I mean, E-Man getting hurt makes him more affordable.
He's very affordable.
Should be able to. And then Aziz, maybe he might want to leave and get like more playing time elsewhere. Maybe a team can offer him a bigger role. Yeah,
he's gonna go somewhere and get paid. It's hard to sit back on a defense like this and lose. This is why I feel bad about Aziz. Is because I wanted to be selfish and try to keep him, but what happened is Dre got hurt in 20, and Aziz played the whole damn season, and he had basically like
21.
that Ayuk 21.
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah,
and he basically had that Ayuk year where he came out and was able to play free and do whatever he wanted. And now he has this huge cachet because he had success, but he's kind of taking a step back into like kind of taking a supplementary role.
I feel like to me, Aziz is a Mike linebacker and would be good going somewhere. Maybe I'm wrong as the middle linebacker on this team, like as a stack linebacker, sideline to sideline, like can't beat Dre. Like that is his. You can't beat him. That's his role. But like in terms of, I think like there was that one game last year where Fred Warner didn't play in Seattle and Aziz played and he was great playing the mic. Maybe he could. He was great. So maybe he could do that on another team. He's never going to do that here. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's just the league. We can't keep them all.
Right. Okay, let's talk about this weather. So it's supposed to rain. It's raining all week, but it may not rain during the game. So let's talk about what a wet grass field could do to Brock Purdy. How's that going to impact him, his game, his skill set?
Well, he's got to be sure-footed with mobility. Just little things in the game. Stepping on feet, clean snaps, not fumbling the ball, clean handoffs, breaking out of the pocket and not slipping, not having anybody fall on top of you, falling on purpose because you know that the ground is wet. And if you try to stay up in wet ground, there's a possibility that you can slip and fall awkwardly. Somebody can roll up on things. The game is a tick faster. And I feel like those are all little things that, quite frankly, I think Brock has. It's hard to play 40-plus starts outside and be in underdog games and not know what you have to bring to that game. Honestly, I think not the only thing, but the biggest things for Brock to really look at in a weather game is just making sure the ball goes where it's supposed to. And if you can't get the ball there, understanding that because of this weather, that ball may sail on me or that ball may die on me. I think that those are the things that Brock could do that he could look out for in this type of weather.
I got something else. I mean, one of the things that's been the best about Brock is his escapability, which you talked about, and then the improv off of that. A wet field could take that away. I mean, he's been so quick where he can just start, stop, he's out. I don't know if that's going to be there necessarily. He might slip and fall trying to make that spin out of the pocket. And so if there's no, I mean, that means he's got to get rid of the ball quicker. That means they got to block better, and pass protection could be more of an issue. I'm concerned about the entire improv element of his game on a wet field.
I understand that, but sometimes when we think about our guys or our team, we think about in our mind optically. We say, oh well, Brock's running on a wet field, but you're thinking about defenses chasing him on a dry field. They're going to be on a wet field too. They're going to, you know what I'm saying? The whole game is going to take the characteristics of a wet game, not just Brock.
That's a great point. Right? That's a great point.
So
yeah.
So the blitzes that you may have seen happen to Brock in dry, perfect conditions, that shit may not even be called on a wet day. I feel like everybody
might have blitzers just like falling in the background.
Yeah. Right, because because what I'm more interested to see is after the 10-play script is done, like after all of the game plans are over, What are you guys going to do contemporaneously? What's going to happen in adjustments? What are we going to do to adjust to get to Brock?
Yeah.
Right. And I think that there's going to be a lot of opportunities for play action. I think there's going to be I think we're going to run a lot of screens. A lot of screens. It's a very good way to get the ball outside in a quick way without anybody getting hurt efficiently, and for us to use physicality on the edges of the field where the weakest and the least physical players on their defense are. So I feel like this game is going to be a lot of Brock throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage, a lot of spacing concepts, a lot of comebacks, just moving the ball down. I mean, because if you think about it, with the defense that we have, right, with all of the problems that we've talked about, if we go up 2 scores, this game should be in the bag.
Yeah. But the offense has become so Christian McCaffrey's. He's the engine of the offense. And if the offense is just hand off to him and check down to him, he's great, but his game is based on making the first guy miss. What if that's harder to do on a wet field?
That is
what I'm saying?
changing.
Now, Debo can just run through people. Maybe Debo takes over. But McCaffrey, he's built, he needs a clean, a sturdy field.
And EJ's back.
Yeah. So maybe this is more of a game for them.
This is an Elijah Mitchell game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
This is an Elijah Mitchell. Hannibal, stop.
What's up, Hannibal?
Yes, motherfucker. So this is an Elijah Mitchell game. This is a Jordan Mason game, in my opinion.
I agree.
Now you know who has the freshest legs of all time? TDP. Maybe it's time to start.
Yeah.
I feel like we've got a lot of guys that have kind of been on the peripheral of the roster that I feel like are really going to start making their debuts. They're going to start making a lot of good contributions. Like, if you think about it, what we've gotten out of TDP for the season, I don't know about the numbers off the top of my head, but if this game we get 10 carries for 45 yards out of TDP, that's a win.
Yeah.
That's a win.
I guess what we're talking about right now is how the weather will impact Kyle Shanahan and his game planning. I mean, we're talking about running the ball. I feel like we're going to see Kyle Shanahan at his most conservative. That's the way I see it. Maybe that's a good thing. What do you think you're going to see from the offense and Kyle, his approach?
Well, I've kind of thrown out my book on what I think about Kyle with Brock Purdy now. Before I feel like we all could kind of read what Kyle's going to do. He's going to lean on his team first, right? He's going to make sure his quarterback has the least amount of pressure and jobs to do, and he's going to try to win with his defense.
Yeah.
Well, what I've seen over the past 5 weeks, Kyle is literally calling whatever he wants.
Yeah.
He's attacking with the defense. We're averaging over 30 points a game in the last 6 weeks. I think offensively we are going to run the ball. If the run is working, I feel like we'll pass the ball through screens, maybe a couple of play action passes. I think it would be really crazy to try to rethink the wheel, though. They're not as talented as we are. They're missing their number one. I think they're missing like their best linebacker, Brooks.
Yeah.
And their defensive line is a problem. I don't think this is the game where we try to get all gee whiz with it and rethink the wheel. I think we run the ball over 30 times. If I'm Kyle, I feel like he goes into offensive meetings today with, I know that he's accustomed to talking about barometers of runs. Like, we need 30 runs this game. I wouldn't be surprised if we ran the ball 35, 40 times this game.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a tough game for CMC and Ayuk because those are guys who really rely on route running and precision, and maybe they won't have the field to complement them. But what you could do in the passing game to complement the running game is those little play action rollout dump offs where you're running in one direction. It's a very short throw, and you get the ball into Debo's hands or Kittle's hands or Jennings' hands, and all they got to do is run someone over. You're not trying to make anyone miss. That could be effective.
I definitely agree with that. Another thing that they do is they do that double slant off the backside where they clear out with either Debo or Ayuk, and they hit Juwan off the backside. Yeah,
all day, all day.
They love that play. One of the things about our offense is you can't get caught up on the application of the play. You just have to get caught up on the end result. Then the reason why is because you can see something that may look like a slant, or it may look like a screen. Or you could say to yourself, man, Christian McCaffrey really isn't getting used today, but we ran the ball all day. But the rules of what we do offensively are keeping the defense honest, right? So Christian McCaffrey may not like. I'll go a step further. Deebo Samuel. I don't think Deebo's all the way back yet. He looked a little. Yeah. He's not all the way back yet. And it was great that we saw him out there. That's a great sign, but I don't think he's back. And right now he's being used essentially like a decoy. Let's be honest.
Which is smart because he's one hell of a decoy. You got to honor him.
Exactly. You have to honor him, right?
Remember 25 years ago in the Super Bowl, Mike Shanahan and Terrell Davis. Terrell Davis got the migraine, and Mike Shanahan was like, look, dude, can we just put you on the field?
Stay out there.
Can we just put you on the field? Can't see anything. Like, hey, man, we won't give you the ball, but just
stay out there.
The play fake's going to be much better if you're out there.
That's football.
That's football.
Right?
Yeah. Yep. You have a reputation, Terrell. Just go out there.
Just
Deebo, you're Deebo. Yeah.
Deebo. No corner wants to tackle you.
Yeah, like frankly, like the gadget plays have worked better for Ray than Deebo this year. But if you need a decoy, it's Deebo. No one's gonna overreact to Ray, which is why the Ray plays work because no one's thinking he's gonna get the ball. He's like the last option. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah, Deebo had a rough year.
Keep Ray involved in the offense, please, Kyle. He's been too good. Give him 2 plays, a screen and a run. Please, he earned it.
Yeah.
Although the one thing, hey man, I want to say this right now so I can reverse jinx it. Ray scared the hell out of me all year because he had 6 fumbles last year and he hasn't had one.
Don't do it.
He hasn't had one.
It.
I'm reverse jinxing it.
On him to fumble.
I'm reverse jinxing it. I don't want him to be Kyle Williams. If you remember that day, that was a rainy day. That was a rainy day at Candlestick. It was a rainy day.
Bro,
Ray, be careful. Everyone be careful. It would suck if the Niners season ended like that. Like a Kyle Williams way. Be careful, everyone.
Well, I mean, we've got a couple of guys like that on our team. Elijah.
It's true.
So I think that this game is, run the ball.
Yep.
Solid defense. Nobody don't get hurt. Yeah. And we're gonna roll everybody out. Deebo's gonna play. He's gonna be on the field. At what capacity, I don't know. But he's going to be ready to play. I really feel like this team, just pound for pound, they're not better than us. And they're not, bro. And
they're the 7th seed.
I thought you looking at me like I was wrong.
I still look at 7 seeds like, man, you're not a playoff team. Like, why are you here?
It's the 17th game. It's the 17th game.
Yeah.
They kept honestly speaking, if it wasn't for the 17th game, we'd have a bye.
Yeah. The Niners should have a bye. The Seahawks should not be in the playoffs. Instead, okay, so final question. Let's talk about it from the Seahawks perspective. How do you think the weather impacts this Seahawks team that plays in the rain a lot, but also plays on turf?
Right. They're going to be slower. Grass slows you down. The thing about the Seahawks is that everything really is riding on what you would think would be Geno Smith, but it's not. It's on Kenny Williams. Yeah, Kenneth Walker. Yeah. It's really on him. He's their running game. He's the guy that actually keeps defenses honest.
Yeah.
You have to actually play their running game when he's doing a good job on the ground because Geno Smith does have the propensity to turn that thing over, and he gets a little pass happy.
I don't think I don't think he's a mutter man. I feel like he's a fast track. He's a 4.3 guy. I know he's bigger, but I don't think this helps him at all.
Well, Grant, I will say this: you gotta check that because the kid is from Michigan State, so he's played in all types of weather.
I'm sure they did, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is Michigan State not turf? I don't know.
Michigan State is turf, but it's in Antarctica.
Wait, so is Seattle? No, I'm not. It's not. It's just about the surface. It seems to me that he's the kind of guy that wants to get to the edge, make one cut, get upfield. He's hella fast. Yeah. Not at Levi's this weekend. Sorry, man.
No,
you better get
north
and south.
In the lane.
No.
He's got to stick his foot in the ground and stick his nose in the gap, and that's not happening.
Now I will say though, Josh Jacobs made the Niners run defense look ordinary. I don't know if Kenneth Walker's as good as Jacobs like that. I don't know if he can do that.
Whoa. I have to say this: Josh Jacobs is one of the most underrated running backs in the NFL.
I was quite impressed.
I've been on Josh Jacobs since Bama. Like Josh Jacobs is First of all, he's a
got everything.
throwback because he's got everything.
He's got everything.
He's got patience, vision. This is not gonna be a
Power,
Josh Jacobs thread.
Fast, speed.
Come on, bro. And he's in a contract year. You know he's trying to get paid.
True.
And he leads the league. So
True.
I don't see a lot of running backs doing what Josh Jacobs did to us.
Fair.
To be honest with you.
Because that really set the tone for the game. Like the Raiders were in 2nd and 4, 2nd and 5 so much that the Niners really couldn't rush the quarterback.
They controlled everything.
They controlled
there was
everything.
nothing we can do on first down. There was nothing we can do on the first down. They had positive plays on damn near every first down they had against us.
And Seattle hasn't done that against the Niners. They have not shown them. Very few teams have.
You know what's kind of crazy? I get worried because this is when I get worried about our defense. Our defense is simple, right? There's not a lot of frills. It's not very exotic. And what I get worried is when teams have success against our defense doing simple things.
Yeah.
Right? Because that means that fundamentally there's a breakdown.
Something's wrong.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. If we get tricked, if we get out leveraged, if there's a bad call, I can kind of take that. That's football. That's them trying to evade us. But
otherwise, something about your defensive philosophy doesn't account for something, and now you got to go back to the drawing board.
Exactly. So what worried me about, conversely, if you want to go back to, as an example, when we played against Las Vegas, right, Grant?
Yeah.
They were just running simple power eye. They weren't. It was hat on a hat. Get your ass out the way, we run.
Yeah.
And it was working, right?
Yes, it was.
So that's the type of stuff that raises my eyebrows against our defense. When I see simple formations, hat on a hat, body on a body, dominating us. Yeah. That's a problem because that's what we do.
Well, look what D'Amico tries to get away with. His second team D-line is T.Y. McGill and Kerry Hyder at D-tackle. Like, that's just an open invitation to run inside zone and double team those guys and move them out of the way. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. If you're in the game, if you're not down by 3 touchdowns. Right. One more thing. What bodes well for the Niners to me is D'Amico does very well against Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay disciples. He sees that offense all the freaking time. He kills it. Shane Waldron. I think there's a reason why the Seahawks haven't had any success against the Niners this year. It's one of these Sean McVay knockoffs, dude. And you look at who's had success against D'Amico, it was Andy Reid and Josh McDaniels, who are not from that freaking tree. I'm just saying.
Every time I hear Shane Waldron's name, the scene from Any Given Sunday comes up when Jay and the guys are in the background complaining. They're in the dressing room complaining about Willie changing plays, and LL Cool J's in there complaining, and he goes, "Yeah, he's just changing plays in the huddle. The plays that I like." And he's like, "Man," who the fuck do you think you are? You're an offensive coordinator, Crozier. Like, who are you, bro?
Pretty much.
I don't see it, man.
I don't see it. All right, let's take some questions. Connor Coke says, if this roster can't get it done this year, oof. That's pretty much the feeling going into this game.
Yeah.
Although at the same time, like if they go to the Super Bowl and lose to Patrick Mahomes with the rookie quarterback, it's not like an oof. It's like, well, this team's probably going to be here next year and the year after that. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So let me walk this back. There's one thing that I have to say too. So he is a third string quarterback, a rookie. Mm-hmm. I don't losing this game. It would be a letdown, but I have to step back. It wouldn't be a failure. We won 10 games in a row. Like it would be below expectations.
It would be sobering.
It would be very sobering.
It's like, okay, well, maybe Brock's not what we thought.
But that would be a good thing because that would kind of like put things in perspective.
True, and now give Trey another chance and all of that.
Yeah.
Kyle Green says, with bad weather on game day, will it be worth tailgating? Should we get into the stadium early? I'm concerned with this rain, playing a rookie quarterback in his first playoff game. Kyle needs to stick. I was thinking that too, man. If you're a tailgater, what are you going to do? You could go into Levi's, but they charge you for those lounges, man. It gets expensive to be sheltered. I don't know. Depends on how much. Depends on your budget, baby.
Yeah.
But I would go inside if I could. I wouldn't tailgate in the rain at 10 in the morning. Like, I'm not that kind of a fan. Connor, Niners versus Vikings 19 game plan this week would be smart. We'll run the hell out of the ball.
Yeah, just run that thing.
Run that thing. Damian, Grant, what happened to JaMychal Hasty? Haven't seen him all season. He's in Jacksonville.
He's in Jacksonville. Yeah.
He's
doing well.
Yeah, he's a decent player. Cookie says Levi's is turf as well. They just changed it a few weeks ago. No. Nah, bro. No. That's not
Waste
true.
that money.
That is misinformation. Drew says, what are you going to do with Lenore on Lockett since Metcalf will probably be shadowed by Ward? And as well, why has Kittle been unlocked with Purdy? All right, that's 2 questions. What about the first one? Lenore and Lockett.
Well, I don't think Lenore's going to see a lot of Lockett. I think Lockett travels a lot. I think Jimmy may see a lot of Tyler Lockett.
Right, in the slot. Good point. That's what happened last time. Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't think that he'll even see Lockett. And if he does see Lockett, they'll treat it the same way that they treated Tariq Hill. He's going to play off with safety coverage over top. And that's what we do, man. Like, that's what it is with our offense. That's not changing. I mean, with our defense, our secondary, that's not changing. What's the second
I'm more
question?
concerned with Hufanga than Lenore. Lenore will be in position. Hufanga, you don't know. May or may not. And how many times is he going to get out of position in a game?
That is a very good point because with Demo, at least you're holding your breath to make it to finish. Yeah. With Huff, it's just like that was Huff when he gets scored on. It's like you got beat. And it's hard because I don't see the all 22, but most of it looks like him. Majority of the time.
Your eyes in the backfield. I mean, D'Amico laid it out perfectly.
Lazy eyes.
Discipline issue, and it's totally correctable. And it seems like all it took was him getting called out, and he went back to doing the right thing. But like, dude, do your job. They're not asking you to go out there and be Troy Polamalu and make all these plays. Like, just do your job. Like
I think he got addicted to making plays.
Hell yeah, he did. Dude, they'll come to you. Look at Deshaun. So
yep.
And the second question was, why has Kittle been unlocked with Purdy? Well, I have a theory. It seemed to me that Kittle went like his entire 20s without getting many targets in the end zone. To score a touchdown, he had to catch the ball at the 5 and then break 3 tackles. Like, that's hard to do. Now, all of a sudden, you texted me as soon as that first touchdown pass. You were like, damn, that's a dot. Like,
I was like, that's a dot, yes.
Dude, like, it's not a lot of quarterbacks make throws like that.
That was special.
Yeah.
That was special. Yeah, I mean, I think that what Brock mostly is doing for George is seeing him.
Yeah. Exactly. Giving him
opportunities. He who shall not be named does not.
God love him, but that was one of his limitations. That was one of them.
He cannot see the field. He cannot see it. Like, and Brock has very good field awareness. He can see the field, and Kittle is often open a lot.
Yeah, if you just calm down and let the play
and not being afraid to get hit.
Now I wonder if that's going to be the touchdown to Kittle in Seattle was that beautiful escape to the left, roll left, stop, reset. Can he do that on this field? I don't know.
Can I bring out one little sneaky thing that I feel like nobody's mentioned?
Yes.
Brock Purdy was hurt against Seattle.
That's true.
Last time.
He didn't even throw. You could see it. Yeah.
He didn't even throw. So in some cases, this may be Brock's first team to see him twice, but have they seen him?
Good point. And you know what? The Niners still averaged like 6.2 yards per play in that game. Like,
we left like 10 points on the field.
They took a knee at the 1 yard line. They missed a field goal. Like, the Seahawks have never really been in a game with the Niners this year. So if they can make it competitive, I guess it's fair to expect them to get blown out again because that's what they do against the 49ers.
Yeah, we left points on the field the last time we played them.
Yeah.
With a hurt quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking like the Seahawks did better from game 1 to game 2. No, actually, they averaged 4.5-ish yards per play on offense both times. Mm-hmm. And the first time the Niners were 5.3 yards per play. The second time they were 6.2. So it got worse for Seattle. It got worse.
Right. And not only did it get worse, but we lost Trey in that game and came in with a stale Jimmy fresh off the bench and won that game.
And that last game when they was 6.2 yards per play and they left points on Debo didn't play. So it could get even worse.
It can get bad. It can get bad. Yeah. I want it to get ugly. I'm ready for it to get ugly.
Really, Seattle's only hope is that it rains really hard and freaking Ray fumbles and Brock Purdy. Like a bunch of people basically.
They need a lot of shit to happen.
They need a lot of shit to happen.
They need a lot of shit to happen for us to lose this.
Shit happens.
And I don't even talk like this.
Yeah.
Just shit does happen. But
so be careful, Niners.
I feel like it's our year, though, man. If this was a time to do it, we have the easiest path, Grant. Egg, look up. We got the easiest path. right?
No, you says it feels like our year. Yeah, but that's what they say in Seattle too, though. The whole Geno Smith thing is crazy. The whole Geno Smith thing is crazy. So I don't know whose season of destiny it is. If the Seahawks win, it's theirs. Freaking Geno. I mean, he's gone through a lot more than Brock Purdy has in his life. Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant, which was, probably a little embarrassing or not. Geno Smith went through the ringer.
Yeah, that shit about to end on Saturday. I'm sorry.
Good story, Geno. Yeah,
right.
Seriously,
sounds good.
All right, last thing of the day. Isaac says, if you guys can bring back one all-time Niners player for this playoff run, who would it be?
I have an unpopular favorite Niner.
Who?
Ricky Waters.
I love Ricky Waters. I watched him play. He was great.
I love Ricky. But, we don't need him in this game. If I had to bring back somebody, Eric Davis.
Dion.
Yeah.
Ronnie Lott. Yeah. Eddie DB.
Ronnie Lott.
That would be helpful. Joe Staley throw him on the right.
I'd take Carlos Rogers.
Thank you.
He can't catch. But come on, Los.
There was that quarterback who wore number 16, but they got Brock Purdy. They're good.
We're good. Michael Potty.
Yeah. Yes. Young Mike.
Mike.
What's the D going to do about 4 wide or empty back offense? Because that's when most of the quarterback runs or short pass games get him. Yeah, man, stop rushing past the quarterback. Don't let him run past. Like, that's on the D ends mostly, to me.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I feel like collectively they just don't keep their lanes. Sometimes they get a little sloppy in pursuit, and
I think that's how Kosaric teaches it, though. He's like, get off the ball, get in the backfield. Like, I don't care. I think that's kind of how he teaches it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like,
but still,
what you coach. The mark of a bad coach, I'm gonna be honest with you. The mark of a bad coach is who walks into a game with a game plan and the shit ain't working and you won't change.
Right.
That is horrible. It's your players are looking at you like, this shit ain't working, bro. Right. You know what I'm saying? We need to we're trusting you before we start doing our own thing out here.
I'll use a NASCAR analogy. It's like something's wrong with your car. You bring it in the pit stop. Can you fix it in the pit stop right now? Or is this a fix that you can only make during the week? Because the guy who can fix it the guy who can fix it in the pit stop during the race is very valuable. If you got that guy, you're good. You can win.
Yeah, and that's really what coaching is. Coaching in the worst scenarios, like your boy Sean McVay with his rug pull.
And that's been my question with Kyle, because he's got such a network. Like, him and his dad could put together the game plan and the script, but it's like, what are you going to do early in the season? What are you going to do in the second half? Well, he's really answered that. He's the second half of the season. But those are questions that I had early. And
all of those questions restart because it's the playoffs now. This is this is the tournament. And with the tournament, this is where.
And he's got demons. He's got to exercise the demons, man. It's about
and this is where they come out. This is where they come out. You can say whatever you want during the season, but every critical thing that anybody has to say about Kyle Shanahan's coaching career and how he goes about the success of that career manifests itself in the playoffs.
I feel like everyone understands this in the NBA. Like, the regular season doesn't matter in the NBA. The playoffs go for like 2 months, and that's basically where all reputations are made. NFL isn't really like that. A lot of times it's based on the regular season because people look at the playoffs as fluky. But for this team, they've pretty much accomplished all you can accomplish in the regular season. This team's been together 4 or 5 years. They've won divisions multiple times. They've put up great. They've had the number 1 defense. They've had great win a damn Super Bowl right now. You got it.
And I feel like there's so many things. Like, in a way, I was hedging a little bit. I was like, man, why are we doing so good right now? Because I believe in hot teams, right? I believe in us being hot. And in my mind, I was thinking, like, and this is just how weird my mind works. I was like, if we would have lost to like the Las Vegas or the Arizona game, maybe that kind of would have woke us up, recentered us, gave us like a little mini bye mentally to kind of like refocus. But you do understand that we're trying to go for 14 wins in a row. Who's won 14 in a row? I haven't even looked that up.
That's hard. A couple of teams have done it. The Dolphins did it 50 years ago. But even the 84 Niners, they lost week 7 and ran the table, but they didn't probably have to play 4 playoff games.
In
Or a 17th game.
in 87, I know we went like 13-3 and lost in the first round.
Yep. That's right.
I know that.
So if they lose, you'd be like, well, it was improbable, right? And again, it all comes back to they should be 16-1 right now. They should be 16-1. They should win the Super Bowl. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. And I like the fact that you're keeping the same energy. Like, even though all of us are like, banging our pom-poms, it's like, no, the tournament has started.
Yes.
This is the real scrutiny. This is the real story. This is how it's
I had the rest of my life to cheerlead and to talk about how great this team was and that I was there and I covered it. But for right now, we got to keep our head down and do our job as quality control because it's important. Why have the Niners won 10 games in a row? Quality control.
Clearly, quality control. Clearly, quality control.
Last time in Lubin, Demo, and Elijah didn't play again. It's true, man. Seahawks better be on their A game. The show is over. This was a highly successful coaches meeting. Coach, thank you for your time.
Awesome, bro.
Thanks, guys. I'll see you guys later.